It's time to have your say. Welcome back to the Q&A Live, answering your questions in the wrestling community. It's time for SCW Live Q&A Episode 18. Going to be answering who should win the King of the Ring and Queen's Crown tournament straight after this. So welcome back to the show then. Get your questions in nice and early. We'll be answering them here today. I'm going solo this Wednesday, so yeah, feel free to keep me company with as many questions as possible. But first off, going to be answering the questions and talking about King of the Ring, because the reason why I want to talk about King of the Ring and Queen's Crown is mainly because I want to know who you think is going to win as well, because I feel like it's quite an open field. It feels who could win the tournaments, but at the same time, with many matches already announced for Crown Jewel, you kind of got that opinions ready that it's not going to be the likes of Drew McIntyre, who faces Big E. We've got, of course, already like Roman and Brock. We know that we're going to have the women with, Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch. So a lot of superstars are already out of the running for who can be the winner of these tournaments, if you want, and to build for future championship matches. So the first one I'm going to look at, and because I'm quite excited about it, I'm glad that WWE is finally doing this. It's a Queen's Crown tournament. Of course, it's effectively the Queen of the Ring. So yeah, feel free to throw your suggestions in. But for me, if to give my early favorite, who I think, and this is without knowing any of the brackets, if they've been announced or not, I think Shayna Baszler is going to win this. The Queen of Spades, after all, she's got a new home on SmackDown. She seems to be getting that push as well. She's taken Nia Jax out of the equation. She's taken out Eva Marie, to the point Eva Marie hasn't even been drafted at this stage either. For me, she was at the natural fit. And if she was to win the Queen of the Ring tournament, or Queen's Crown tournament, as I should say, she'll be ready in the mix to go after championship gold. And of course, on SmackDown, it feels like that there is a path to her to get a championship opportunity. Charlotte Flair, of course, currently the Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown. We'll see what the vibe will be in a few weeks' time, but Sasha Banks there as well. Probably Sasha more than likely to turn babyface in a bit of time as well. So I think that she could be the likely winner, Shayna Baszler. But you can't rule out other names. I mean, we mentioned, Charlotte Flair is the queen. After all, she has to be a potential someone in the conversation. But as I say, she's a champion already. Will we get more women's matches added to Crown Jewel? I'm not sure at this moment, but certainly still a part of the Raw side right now, and so is Shayna Baszler. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I imagine there'll be a Raw half and a SmackDown half of the bracket, and it'll be Raw versus SmackDown in the final. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well here. But just got a couple of comments that have come flying. Ed Fries is with us. He says, Woods or Corbin for King of the Ring? Shayna or Xia Li for the Queen's Crown? I like the shout there. As I said there about Shayna. Xia Li there is a good shout as well. Of course, coming straight in to the mix here on SmackDown, of course. And I think they're effective from after Crown Jewel, but it doesn't mean we won't get appearances from some of these superstars before. WWE hasn't really clarified that. So the idea that Xia Li could be brought to SmackDown already, I mean, Tian Sha already is without her on NXT, so why not? I'd be quite actually in favor of seeing if that would be the scenario or not. But we'll come on to the King of the Ring very shortly and give my shout for that. But definitely two names I will be talking about very shortly, so make sure to stick around for that. Wrestled by Waldridge is here, and he says, hopes I'm well. Yes, I'm well. A little bit tired. I'm not going to lie. I probably shouldn't say that this early into the stream, but I'm feeling a bit tired today. But going to give you my best still, nonetheless. Have the brackets been announced yet on how many competitors will be in each tournament? Not that I know of. I must admit, I haven't seen anything. If I had to guess, I would say that it would be 8 per tournament, because then you've got time on both shows over the next couple of weeks to sort of whittle it down to a final. And I think that's what we're looking to do, isn't it? We're looking to get Raw versus SmackDown in the final, whether it's the King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown. I can't see them having semi-finals and finals like we did back in the old King of the Ring days. But that's what I'm going to expect from that. But just to go on a couple of names quickly before I go more comments, just to wrap up the Queen's Crown side. Obviously, I was give Shayna Baszler as the favorite for those that are just coming in. I've talked about Charlotte Flair already, but I definitely Liv Morgan is someone I could see being a finalist, because I look on the SmackDown side right now, with the rosters being as they are for the time being for the next 3 weeks. We've seen the SmackDown Women's Championship has gone out. We've got the match there with Becky, Bianca and Sasha. The role is open there to push someone that would not be expected to get to the final. And I've seen one come in there as well from Wrestling by Roger saying that Tony Storm would love to be seeing her go far. That would be awesome to see if Tony Storm could be pushing this as well. That'd definitely be a great candidate also. But Liv Morgan, for me, definitely feels like that could be a potential, in my personal opinion, to definitely make the final. And Carmella could be the last shout. And I'm just going to say, I hope no one really takes the King or Queen gimmick going after this, because of the fact that, well, we've got King Nakamura that's already kind of doing it. So for me, I don't need to see anyone else doing it in WWE. We've seen Corbin do it as well previously. I think the gimmick is kind of past its way, but if someone was to pull it off, I think Carmella would be a good shout at pulling that gimmick off. But I stick with Shayna Baszler as the prediction. So let's go into the comments, what everyone's got to say before I go on to the men. We've got Jason Michael in here. Thank you for checking out the stream. He says, Jeff, I'm guessing Jeff Hardy or Xavier Woods for King of the Ring, Shayna or Liv for Queen's Crown. I think that will be the final, Shayna and Liv for sure. We'll come into the men very, very shortly, and definitely some interesting names coming in already. Supersonic X saying, hello, how are you doing? I'm doing really well, thank you. Thank you for checking out the stream. It's really good to have you here. And Eric Travis is with us as well. It says, Oscar for Queen of the Ring and Woods for King of the Ring. And Oscar, of course, is still out at the time being, but I have no idea when she's set to return. So wouldn't it be interesting if Oscar was to come back for this? She definitely would have to be a contender. And one thing's for sure, I'm going to answer this nice and early because Oscar hasn't been drafted right now in the WWE draft. And I'm going to answer it. I think she should go on SmackDown when she does eventually return. Yes, I've said for the longest time on these streams, she cannot be on the same roster as Charlotte Flair. I've seen that match far too many times, but on SmackDown, it's a shorter show. We've got a fresh roster to work with, and we are missing a top babyface on the SmackDown side. So for me, Oscar would feel that she would seem very relevant very early. So this actually would be awesome to see if that was the case. If Oscar was to come in and win the Queen of the Ring, not only would it give her momentum to go back into the championship picture, she would solidify herself as that top babyface on the SmackDown side. That's, of course, if Sasha Banks doesn't turn babyface. But Wrestling by Wardridge has said, although she hasn't been drafted, maybe Dakota Kai could be a wild card. Certainly would be a wild card, my friend. But you know what? I'd be down to see it. And I'm shocked she was not included in the draft. She did numerous start matches before Raw and SmackDown. We've not seen it on NXT for how long? I did wonder if there was going to be a small save. You know how we got with this NXT 2.0 stuff going on. We're kind of almost going to have to forget the past, I feel, soon, because so much is changing so quickly. You know, Raquel Gonzalez is kind of outnumbered at the moment. I wondered if it was too soon if she'd make the save. But we got Io Shirai and, of course, Zoe Stark doing that this week. I think Dakota Kai should be pushed to Raw or SmackDown. Like you said, it's a wild card. It's a fun wild card. But what show, Aaron, would you like to see her on? I mean, for me, I would go with SmackDown just because they have less women, but certainly would be interested in your shout on it. I'll take one more comment and I'll go over to the King of the Ring tournament because I've got quite a bit to say about that as well, just before we go into strictly questions only. Supersonic X saying Oscar and Bayley are both free agents, so hopefully we'll see some updates on both of them. I'm sure we will. I think the thing is that WWE are at the moment, probably they're not due back for a considerable amount of time. I mean, for sure, Bayley is not going to be back for a while yet. Why give them a brand split right now? Why put them on Raw or SmackDown committing to something when a plan might change between now and later? And then you could turn around and say, well, hang on, Bayley's back the night after WrestleMania. For me right now, she fits in perfectly with Monday Night Raw. I love the idea of, perhaps continue with that rivalry with Bianca Belair because it didn't kind of finish off the way it should do. We've got fresh matches on there with the likes of, a Becky Lynch, Bayley feud would be awesome to see. And I really think Bayley, even though she's been so awesome as a heel, that when she comes back, she's going to get love. And I wonder if WWE should ride with that momentum and turn a babyface with the current style gimmick that we've got of Bayley, because I think you could kind of make it work. Definitely would be, in my opinion now, an improvement on the hugger, just purely because WWE didn't know how to book that. But certainly, I'm sure we'll get updates on both. And I think when they return, they definitely will, be thrown in where they're going to be thrown in. But I think Oscar for SmackDown, I think Bayley for Raw at this particular moment. So Jamie Holmes is in here as well. I will just quickly take these couple of comments before I go to the King of the Ring. I'm holding you on and I'm teasing you. It is on the way, I promise. I've got, what do you feel was the worst draft decision for him? It was breaking up T-Bar and Mace and Veer and Shanky up. T-Bar will be okay on his own, but not the other three. And do you know what? I have the same worry about the other three as you do, because look, T-Bar has teased about going back to Dijakovic. I think he'll be fine in the mid-card. Don't see a problem with that at all. But Mace, I mean, he's going to go back to Dio Madden. It's clear that he's not going to stay as Mace. Shane Thorne's already changed up the gimmick. Mia Yim is Mia Yim. Mustafa Ali's in a tag team with Mansoor. Retribution is done. It's not coming back. And even the Powers of Pain of T-Bar and Mace looks to be finished as well. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Dio Madden ends up back on commentary. That's at this point where I don't see where Mace fits into the picture. Where we should have seen it coming with Veer and Shanky. WWE promoted Veer on Raw a couple of weeks ago, picked up a big win. I believe it was in like a 6-man tag team match or something, and Veer picked up the pinfall, and it was like, whoa, Veer looks so impressive. It's like, yeah, they're going to actually split him up from these guys. But the problem is, what they're going to do with him. I feel he's going to be in the 24/7 championship picture. I just don't see them finding a story to push him on. I think strength in numbers, like you say, Veer and Shanky are very fresh right now to Raw, and I don't know. I kind of feel now they've been broken up. They are going to get a bit lost in the show. I suppose Shanky will be with Jinder Mahal still, but I still don't see that kind of working out. But just to go back on Dakota Kai then before we go into the men, Western Roll just thinks SmackDown will be better for her. It'd be great to see her resume her old NXT rivalry with Shayna to show how far she's come since. I love that suggestion. That suggestion is awesome. And Jeff Simmons says that Mace is going to be repackaged. So, right, let's go then into the men then, shall we? Let's talk about the King of the Ring tournament for the men. So feel free to let me know who your favorites are in the comments below. And I'm going to say my favorite off the back. And it's kind of going out of left field here because it seems like the most obvious answer to give. But I think King Nakamura should win it. He's currently King Nakamura for a reason. He would surely have to stop that gimmick, right, if he didn't win it. That's kind of how my feeling is and the vibe of it. And I feel, looking at SmackDown right now, you look at the babyface situation. Who's going to face Roman Reigns? We've got Drew McIntyre. That's a given. But underneath that, who are you going to put in that position? I think Goldberg will have a match with Reigns. Let's hope it's not a WrestleMania. But at the same time, I look and say, we're going to have to push people up the card. And I think Nakamura right now is a natural fit. Pat McAfee dancing on the table, gets over big time each and every time he comes to the ring. Boogs is working for me as well. I just find the whole thing entertaining and fun. It's worked with this Intercontinental Championship run. And Nakamura, for me, just seems to be on the rise. I would love to see someone like Cesaro win it as well. Definitely would put him back with momentum after the great start he had to this year up until the point he faced Roman Reigns. But unfortunately, I don't see it coming. That's the only problem with that one. Happy Corbin, let's talk about him. He's been mentioned in this section already. And I do think a SmackDown superstar is winning King of the Ring purely because of the fact of Roman Reigns. So I'm going to throw that out there now as well. Happy Corbin would be great for this tournament, just purely because I don't think he should win it. But the fact is, he can say, well, I can try and buy the crown back because he's now got all the money in the world. If he loses his match, then he could say, I didn't need it anyway. I'm happy. I don't need to be involved with this. Or quite simply with Corbin, I mean, you just look at it and say that he could try and buy his way through those rounds. I don't know what he's going to do with Corbin, but I certainly think he could be a key part of it. I think he should make it to at least the semi-finals, and let's hope that doesn't create thumbs down in the comments section. But certainly would be interesting. I noticed that Jeff Hardy was mentioned in this as well. Certainly would be an interesting shout if Jeff Hardy was to be given a push. Now he goes back to SmackDown. We talked about finding people for Roman Reigns. He's expecting to refresh the character, the gimmick over. I'm expecting it to be Willow. I'm hoping it's not going to be. I wasn't a fan of Willow in TNA, but I suppose we could see what WWE would make of this character. But judging by some of the character changes in WWE of late, I don't have high hopes. I'm very sorry to say it. But Jeff Hardy versus Roman Reigns certainly would be a fun match to watch. So I would be down for it if it was to happen, but I would prefer to push new blood as well. That would be one thing I would say. But I have to talk about Xavier Woods as well. We've had his names popped up a few times. And of course, Xavier Woods for me, I mean, come on, the New Day. Kofi's had his turn at the top. Big E is having his run at the top right now. Who cares more about King of the Ring than Xavier Woods? Xavier Woods wants it. He's saying, crown me on Raw. He's up for this each every time. He was devastated he wasn't in the last one. Why not an Xavier push? I'd be happy to see it. I wouldn't see him as a world champion right now, but definitely if he was to win King of the Ring, you'd put him on the way, wouldn't it? I'd be quite up for seeing it. I would be really okay with Xavier Woods having a run in this King of the Ring tournament. So I really hope it happens. But I'm going to talk about one superstar from Raw just because I'm into the idea of pushing someone that should be a future main eventer, someone that could be there. And I think, when we talk about it, I think it's got to be, Keith Bearcat Lee. I think he is the guy that you could turn around and say that the company can be built on him, and he needs something like this to push him to the next level. A King of the Ring, a Royal Rumble, something like this gets Keith Lee up the pecking order very, very quickly. But as I say, I think a SmackDown superstar is winning this, but definitely would be a fan if Keith Lee was to be one of them. My final prediction, I'm sticking with it. I'm going with King Nakamura at this early stage. So let's go into the comments now. We'll get your comments of what you think of King of the Ring. And yeah, also tell me as well, do you like the King and Queen gimmick sticking with these superstars afterwards? I really want to get people's gauge their opinions whilst watching this. So feel free, just dive in with your comments and let's get other questions involved as well. This Q&A will go on as long as you guys and girls are interested in this for this one here today. But Wrestling by Wardrobe, he says, love all the Woods suggestions. Unlikely, but it would be interesting to see in Ricochet win it. Ricochet would be a good shout and a fresh start as well for him coming on SmackDown. And do you know what? It's a babyface, and we're talking about pushing to get towards Roman Reigns afterwards. I'm all in favor. Why not do it? I mean, he's an extraordinary man, does extraordinary things. And the thing as well with Ricochet, he has had a championship match in Crown, well, not a Crown Jewel, he did it at Super Showdown, but in Rehab before. So, I mean, they're used to seeing him in big time matches. Why not give him a big moment at Crown Jewel? Certainly wouldn't be against it. And West Coast Podcast says, I say Shin versus Woods in the final. Woods takes it on the next SmackDown. Shin honorably denounces himself as king and hands the crown to Woods. Zach, do you know what? It sounds awesome, doesn't it? I love it because the thing is as well, it's two baby faces in the final and that sort of passing of the torch or passing of the crown in this case. You know, Xavier, to be fair, if there was someone that's going to do the king gimmick, Xavier should have it because he would do so good with it. You watch him on Up, Up, Down, Down, his character work, the way he is as a character, he just would be awesome, wouldn't he? And if the New Day were to do New Day things and go on their own sort of separate ways, because you don't need to have the New Day teaming all the time either. We've got them separated again in the draft. It would be fun to see. I would be down for it. So I've got to say, Zach, I love that suggestion. I think it's pretty awesome. Jeff Samuel says that Ricochet should win SCW. He can show some character development. Well, I tell you what, that is a thing I think is missing from Ricochet. And I think the thing with Ricochet is that he is a phenomenal athlete. He can do things in the ring that we probably can't even imagine half of the time. We've seen him in War Games. We've seen him do that flip at Brooklyn 4 where he got the super kick from Adam Cole. You know, he's done some incredible things in the ring. And you sit and think to yourself, okay, we need that to stand out on a show. And when he's been on Monday Night Raw with all these other high flyers, I'm not saying that other high flyers are better than Ricochet, but they do flippy stuff as well. He now stands out being on SmackDown. And I think that on Fox as well, Pat McAfee actually shouting out about Ricochet each and every week. Oh my God, he's doing this, he's doing that. I think that's pretty awesome. So for me, I would be down for seeing it. I hope it was put together, but we'll have to wait and see. But I do think the more character development we'll get now on SmackDown, now he's gone to there rather than being on Raw. And one other thing I should know of is keep away from the superhero stuff. I don't think he needs to do that. I think that seemed a bit lame for him. But small drink break. I will be coming with our next comment in a second. It's firstly work when you're on your own. SC Williams is here. He says, I would like to see King Cedric winning it. He can be so annoying with it. Or Austin Theory, Austin win, and it'd be like Owen Hart, but no comparison. There's some interesting suggestions there. What I will say is Cedric Alexander, I mean, Hurt Business, I mean, it would be cool. Cedric really was fun with his heel gimmick, and when he was getting some momentum last year, they really took it away from him, though. So I can't see it happening. But do you know what? It definitely could be a fun suggestion. And Austin Theory is another key one you've mentioned there because, I mean, of course, Austin's got a very bright future. And I tell you what, some people didn't like the way he was debuted or re-debuted on Raw this week. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought it was the way how he sort of, you know, goated Jeff in. It's almost like writing Jeff Hardy off of TV to bring this character in because it's like, you fell for that? Seriously? This guy was being a douche and he got away with it. And the selfie was done to perfection as well. So for me, I have more high hopes that Austin Theory is going to have a better run on Raw this time. And definitely the potential, sky's the limit for him. He's at a young age as well. He was perfect for NXT for what they wanted to do. But they obviously see something in him and push him now to the top. And obviously, they have that with him now on Monday Night Raw. So let's see what he brings to the table. King of the Ring, is it too soon? I guess if you guys don't know, let me know in the comments now. Wrestling Bobwatch, I don't mind the gimmick, but it doesn't need to be done every time. The winner needs to live that gimmick, I think. King Booker is a good example. And of course, I'm going to do it again. King Booker did it perfectly, didn't he? He was awesome with that gimmick. But there's been some awesome King of the Rings back in the day, but there has been some that have just been downright awful. I mean, I actually feel like Sheamus, I've just seen Sheamus's name in the comments, we'll come to that in a minute, but Sheamus was an awful King of the Ring. I didn't like seeing that at all back then. You know, Bad News Barrett didn't carry it very well either with the King Barrett gimmick. I just feel some superstars don't do it well, don't do it justice. But I mean, Booker took it and ran with it. He's definitely got to be up there within the top 3 King of the Rings of all time, just with the way that he lived that gimmick so well. And to be fair, I thought Corbin did very well at the start. It just run its course. And I think that's the problem with that gimmick. It's got a shelf life, and I think after a while, I think people do get bored of it. I think it works for about a year top. So that's my main gripe with it. I prefer when you see people like Steve Austin, who comes in, who wins King of the Ring, just carries on that momentum, that persona, pushes the envelope, if you want, and gets himself to become the megastar necessarily and just becoming the king. But certainly, I like the fact that people don't mind it. That's definitely something that I'm happy to see. And let's see, maybe it will be brought in. Do you want King and Queen as well? Maybe we'll have them as a duo. Maybe it's like Homecoming. Maybe it's like Deonna Purrazzo and Aiden English in Impact Wrestling. We'll have to wait and see. Jason Michael says, agreed, SCW have Woods win the final for a heel. Rich Holland, take it away from him. And like maybe have Sheamus take Ridge under his wing. Sheamus used to be a king. He did used to be a king. I mean, to be fair, Rich Holland, he's on SmackDown for a reason. I would have liked to have seen Rich Holland and Pete Dunne together. I just think that would have been a nice natural fit. But they obviously see something in Ridge to push him now as a single star. He's definitely got a look. And perhaps Sheamus would be someone to be perfect to take him under his wing. So definitely not the worst suggestion in the world. Actually quite like it, Jason. You do going to say that Ridge can get help by Sheamus to beat Woods. Will be interesting. It's like the old generation King Sheamus and the new generation King Ridge. That to be interesting in his opinion. And you know what? It's not boring. I'm going to tell you that. It's definitely interesting. So yeah, I mean, that's how you build a new star overnight, isn't it? So yeah, why not? It could be something that could go down. We'll have to wait and see. King Haku was good with Heenan. He was back in the day. I did enjoy King Haku back in the day. That was definitely a fun King gimmick. In fact, I actually watched some of the 80s. It was probably about a year or two ago now. But going through watching some of the classic King Haku matches is all good fun. And watching him as Ming on Nitro, I honestly have fun watching Haku back in the day. Definitely was a good shout out there. Definitely from Zax. Ricky Glow is with us. He says, this is a storyline. I will be for King of the Ring, like maybe for the finals, Seth Rollins, the cocky versus babyface, the cocky heel, shall I say, versus the babyface Xavier Woods, and have Woods beat Rollins to maybe get a push in his opinion. And also that, if Rollins was to lose Woods, it wouldn't hurt him. Do you know what? It wouldn't. I don't think it would hurt Rollins at this point, because Rollins at this, he would move on to Monday Night Raw. That would be his last thing of SmackDown. He would just carry on as normal. You push him through to Survivor Series. If Rollins has a good showing there, certainly wouldn't be the worst idea. The thing is that I do feel Rollins versus Edge is going to be booked for this show. They're building towards that, so I can see that match being a potential that will happen. But if they don't do Rollins in that, definitely the King of the Ring would be someone that I would like to see him. And Wrestling by Aldridge also says it won't happen, but I think it'd be quite interesting to see Seth and Becky both win the tournaments. They kind of rule the WWE as its king and queen. Do you know what? It would be fascinating, especially after everybody hated on Seth and Becky the last time. The two squeaky clean baby faces back in 2019. All they don't have chemistry on TV. Imagine if they were king and queen, ruler of WWE. Certainly would be interesting. Do you know what? I think it'd be fun. It's a shame Becky's already in a match, isn't it? And it's a shame that this probably won't happen. But you know what? It's a very, very fun suggestion. I do really like it, Aaron. Thank you very much. Danny Barron also says, I highly doubt WWE will do it, but I have Karrion Kross to be the king with Scarlett on his side. We need Scarlett WWE. Come on, man. Do you know what? I agree. Scarlett needs to come in with Karrion Kross with the horrible job that they've done with Karrion Kross to this point. I'm sure many were probably crying for him to have a move to SmackDown, but hey, he's still going to be the sexy gimp on Raw, isn't it? It's pretty much what we're going to get. But definitely give him Scarlett, continue that winning run. I think the mid-card is where we're going with Karrion Kross, but he's the criteria of a superstar that I want to see win King of the Ring, because he's someone with potential, someone that can get to that next level, someone you can push towards the main event. Why couldn't Karrion Kross jump the line, win King of the Ring, and then be a contender against Big E? It certainly would be something I wouldn't be against. Maybe some people would say, hey, that's hot-shotting the guy. It's far too soon. We should have Kross versus Damian Priest first, have that roll for a little while, and then go on. But hey, it's King of the Ring. It's all about making a future star. And it feels like WWE, maybe for the first time after this draft, I feel like they're actually looking to try and do that. We'll have to wait and see if that will be the case. Wrestling by Woodridge, exactly, SCW, trolling the audience to the max, and exactly. And that's what we're here for. We want to be trolled to the max, don't we, when we're watching WWE? Come on, they've done it to us, and we've stuck around for years and years upon end, and these two would do a fabulous job in doing so. Danny Barron, there are rumors more call-ups are coming in the weeks SCW for NXT on Raw and SmackDown. Interesting. I haven't seen those rumors if more will be coming, but you know what? There are people that are not being used. We mentioned Dakota Kai already being one of them. So, I mean, if she was to be then inserted in a few weeks' time with the no, I mean, I guess if they want to know what they're going to do with her, you know, it's all right in saying, we've called you up and we're going to put you on Raw or SmackDown, but you've not got a plan for them. It's not going to go very well, is it? So I suppose maybe take shape, see what happens over the next few weeks, then put someone onto Raw, someone on SmackDown. LA Knight would be a fantastic shout as well. So, I mean, there are some superstars that I think could have actually been in the role for the draft that weren't called up. As Aaron will tell you from Wrestling Boy Wardridge, I was desperate for Volta to be actually called up, but unfortunately that hasn't happened. And now Imperium have returned as well to go for those tag team championships on NXT 2.0. But hey, one can always dream, can't you? You can always dream. Eric Travis, was it just me, or is WWE or Fox wanting WWE to go back to TV 14? I hope Oscar will be queen. That would be surprise, but don't spoil it. Well, I mean, if Oscar does come back, as I said earlier in the video, I think it would be a fantastic shout. I would like to see her get a push, and I think on SmackDown is the best place for her. But as for TV 14, definitely more risque. Thankfully, I watched Wrestle Talk News actually just before I came on here, just to get my daily dosage. I've been a bit busy today. So apparently with the TV 14 and sort of the edgier content, it's okay for Raw and NXT, which is, of course, on the USA Network. Fox, on the other hand, I think WWE have to keep it a bit more clean for the Fox Network. But Missionary is fine. Missionary is cool. You don't have to worry about saying that word, but we've seen some S-bombs on NXT and on Raw. And so, yeah, it looks like that there you can get it. I wonder if it will go to TV 14 in time. I'll have to wait and see. But I'm sure maybe it'll upset a few sponsors along the way. But for me, it's a case of let's wait and see. But definitely, we've had Chicken S, we've had S-bombs. So, yeah, who knows what could be coming next. Thank you for checking out the stream as well. It says, who do you want to see in the ladder match for AEW tonight to be, I hope, for someone unexpected, like an Impact or someone that's in New Japan Pro Wrestling? The Forbidden Door, I tell you what, great suggestion. I do like the Forbidden Door and the aspects of it. But for me, I don't think we're getting a surprise tonight in the aspects of like someone that could be debuting for the company. I think we're going to have someone that could be returning. A couple of suggestions I would throw out there could be Leo Rush because he's had a video package last week. But the one that I think it will be is Hangman Adam Page. I am going to stick my neck out and say this is for the World Championship. I think it's going to build now for Full Gear. I think Hangman coming in would be the right shout. The only other one that I would accept if it's going to be a joker for someone that's already in the promotion is if it's Kip Sabian's music, but he's attacked by Miro backstage and Miro takes his spot. So we get the return, but we don't get Kip Sabian, so people are not underwhelmed, and we get Miro come and take the spot. But definitely, if it was someone from Impact or New Japan Pro Wrestling, who would you want? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to see who you would like to see turn up tonight from the Forbidden Door, because you know what? When it comes to AEW, anything is possible. And as you say there, I mean, competition is good there, and that could be for your other comments. So I'm going to bring that back up in a second as well. But yeah, it could be interesting. Buddy Matthews could be another shout to look out for tonight as well. So if it's going to be a debuting superstar, but I stick with Hangman Adam Page. And let's get your other comment on there as well. It says, King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring. What next for a pay-per-view? And like you said, WWE might push a new star for King and Queen thing. But AEW Control, WWE, I think is good. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, change is good. It's good to see competition. I think that's where the other comment came in, so now we can connect those together. Apologies from that before. Yeah, competition is good. It's good to see that we have an alternative for fans as well, for wrestlers to go and work. There's definitely something to gain for everybody, unless your name is Vincent Kennedy McMahon, because then he doesn't get everyone under one roof just fighting to be in WWE. Now people are excited to maybe go and work in All Elite Wrestling. People are letting their contracts run down and go over to the other side. It feels like for the first time in a long time, we have real competition, and we have we're not got the Monday Night Wars or anything like that. We're definitely far away from that, but we'd have the alternative. And as a wrestling fan, I'm so happy about that, because yes, there's alternatives of watching Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor, NWA. There's something for everybody out there, and that's fantastic. You've got Stardom as well, and all these other great companies. But at the same time, to have a legitimate one that can turn and say that can go head to head with WWE, that's a great thing for wrestling. It's something that we really, really need. So yeah, I'm really down for that. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see what's going to bring. Rest of all, we're just devastated by the lack of Volta, as was I. I tell you what, it's a shame that it didn't happen. But speaking of him, where do I think he'll eventually end up? Well, I would have said Raw before the draft, but now if he was to be on one of them, probably SmackDown would be better. I mean, matches with Sheamus, with Roman Reigns, with Drew McIntyre. I mean, there's some heck of matches in there, isn't there? I mean, of course, he could always go to the main NXT. That would be fine. I wouldn't be surprised if he stuck in just NXT UK, but in my opinion, those comments he made, according to Tom Connolly, were made 2 years ago that he didn't want to move to the States. So for me, it's 2 years later. The guy's got bags of potential. He could be one of the faces, if not the face of wrestling in a heel capacity. That Imperium gimmick, the ring is sacred, all that stuff. It's money printed on paper. So someone, if they can do, please convince Volta to come to the States and just do it, because I swear down, over the next 5 years or so, this guy could be the face of wrestling. He's really, in my opinion, he's that good. That's how I feel anyway. Dan Bradley is in the house. He says, for the ladder match, should be fun, but SCW, what I would do is have Kip's music play and then have Mira beat him down to win it. Omega versus Mira will be interesting. Dan, I'm loving your work. Yes, thank you for suggesting that as well. I do love it. And he says as well, how do you feel about Impact's mid-card belt? I want to hear your opinion on it, Lowell. The internet belt. Yes, the Digital Media Championship. Now, I did actually talk in great depth about this on my last Q&A that is already on the channel, so I won't go in as much depth here for you now, if you don't mind, but it's about 5 minutes. You can go and check it out after the end of this stream. But what I would say is that they are looking to do something to get outside of the box. An internet championship is great because Impact social media is, I think they do a good job of it. They're good at promoting what their events coming up are. They've got quite a good following of social media. And when you've got companies like WWE that did Mixed Match Challenge and stuff like that, it doesn't really make a difference for them. It's not a game changer for WWE to do something like that. For Impact, this could be a smaller company. Arguably, it's the ECW. It's the wicked stepchild of those sort of times. If you look back to the 90s and compare it to now, that's what Impact really is. So for them to do that and do this championship, it's very interesting. The only thing I would say is intergender wrestling, it's not for everybody, but it's not always going to be men versus women. It could be interesting to see how to play it. We might get women versus women, men versus men. If you look at people that have been in intergender matches as well, think about this for people who have not watched wrestling before, might click on it for the first time, especially if you're a young, aspiring wannabe wrestler, and say you're a female, you look up to the likes of Jordan Grace, a Rachel Ellering, you look up to a Chelsea Green who have been in there and doing some heck of great matches. That could be an inspiration. That could bring new fans into your products. You know, you've got men that are going to be doing it as well. I mean, we know Crazy Steve and John Skyler in there as well. They're not people that pull me in, but they're great talented workers. And it might say people watch these matches and go, I want to see what this is all about. Let's go and check Impact Wrestling out. We've seen what this internet stuff's all about. Let's go and see what the main show is all about. And all of a sudden they get, exposed to like Josh Alexander and, Ace Austin, Chris Bay. We talk about Deonna Purrazzo and all those sort of wrestlers. And it could be a good thing for Impact deep down end of the day. I don't know how it's going to play out. This might be one of the things like the Grand Championship. Didn't like that. But we'll have to wait and see. Time will tell. I think for this, there is potential. I think that's where I'll leave it. Alex Radford, I hope Xavier Woods wins King of the Ring, or expecting Sami Zayn. Sami's King saying the conspiracy is not over, and for the women, Shayna, or Oscar, or Liv. Alex, I love the suggestion. I would love Sami Zayn to be King of the Ring, but sadly, I don't think he'll be going to Crown Jewel anytime soon. I think that's what rules that one out, sadly. But as for the women, Shayna, Oscar, or Liv definitely would be down for all three of them. As I said earlier in this video, I do think Shayna and Liv will be the final. C Nation Dog says, who would you have as the first Impact Digital Media Champion? Interesting question. I haven't seen all the brackets, so you probably have a better idea who's in it than I do at this point. But I'll go Jordan Grace, just because I think that she is awesome. And I think that she is definitely a name value that could be of use of Impact. She's good for intergender matches as well. That's what I'd like to see. That's who I want to see win it. But we'll have to wait and see. But I suppose a Digital Media Championship, could you have Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder? I suppose that would kind of make sense, wouldn't it? The Long Island Ice Z story could return. We'll have to wait and see how that will play out. As long as it's not 24/7 championship, I'm kind of down for it. But what if the Impact Media Championship is just another Impact Grand Championship? Well, if it does fail, they'll drop it. I think that's pretty much what will be the case if it doesn't work out. But yeah, I hope for them it does work out. And I think it's one of those things of trial and error. We'll have to wait and see how it will play out. Wrestling by Waldridge, I always thought there was one other man in wrestling with the same aura of Brock Lesnar, and it's Volta. totally agree with your comments. Well, we're on the same wavelength, aren't we? Quite literally. And yeah, there is an air around Volta, and everything he does is credible. And hey, you've only asked the people to get in the ring with him, and look at the state of their chest after he's chopped them to smithereens. Literally, Volta is the man. And just to say very quickly, Volta versus Brock, take my money. Derek K is in the house. He says, I want to see King Finn Balor. Do you know what makes sense? With a Demon King and stuff like that. Love it. End ring name and bring back the Prince Devitt with AJ Styles. If WWE form a new Bullet Club on Raw, it could be fun. Almost can be like Bad Luck Fale. Hey, some great suggestions there. I like the idea of it. Finn Balor definitely would be a great shout for King of the Ring. Definitely one I had not thought of either. So, Derek, I love the fact that you're helping me think outside of the box here. And the thing is, well, we had the Demon King. So why not, the Prince becomes the King? That certainly could be something there. And AJ Styles was actually okay with Finn Balor being drafted to Raw. He said, I actually don't like most people coming to Raw, but you, my friend, you're different. So, yeah, I like that, Derek. And he goes on to say a bit more as well. He says, for AEW, I would have Miro win the ladder match. Also, Miro can cost Sammy, and Bobby Fish is the new team champion. I would lose my mind if Bobby Fish wins it. I hope Sheila beats Serena Deeb and turns heel, and we can start a feud with Deeb and Sheila in a no DQ match. Well, I'll tell you what, I would have liked to have seen something a bit more for this match, other than just if Sheila wins, she gets a 50th win. But I would say these are two fantastic workers, so I'm really intrigued to see what they're going to do this evening. I think they're going to have a great match. I think Sheila gets that 50th win, and like you say, if she got on the mic afterwards and just crucified the crowd and said, you've turned on me since I've lost the championship, just beat Deeb up to a complete pulp, that'd be awesome. I'd like to see that. So that'd be pretty cool to see. And I mean, Bobby Fish, coming in the Forbidden Door. One little note that I didn't mention on my preview, by the way, I've got a preview for AEW tonight as well on my channel as well. It's about 7 minutes long if anyone has time to check out after the stream. But I didn't say about this in that. Bobby Fish on the graphic is wearing a Bobby Fish t-shirt with a little AEW logo in the bottom of the t-shirt. Has he come through the Forbidden Door, or has this guy signed a contract? That's something I'm not sure of at this point, and I'm looking forward to seeing and finding out later on. But Bobby Fish and Adam Cole will be under the same roof for the first time, both since leaving WWE. That is an interesting, fun thought as well. So yeah, there definitely is a lot to look forward to this evening. But I'm going for the predictable. I'm going for Guevara. I would lose my mind as well if Bobby Fish was to win it, but sadly, I don't quite see it happening at this point. C Nation Dog says Jordan Grace being the first Impact Digital World Champion would be good because she got robbed of the X Division Championship. Good point, and that was at last year at Bound for Glory, if I'm not mistaken, C Nation. So please let me know if I'm right with that, and yeah, would be good to see if she was to do so. And speaking of Bound for Glory, I've been asked here by Wrestling Waldridge, heading into it soon. Is there anyone you'd expect to debut? Interesting. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say one name, but there could always potentially be three. One of them, it's still a few days too early, but I definitely expect Braun Strowman to actually debut on this show. I think Braun is going to be pushed to the moon if he does actually come here. I never got to see his match with EC3 yet. I want to look out with this Control the Narrative. I've got a feeling that it probably would be quite good judging on EC3. But yeah, I would expect him to debut. Maybe we could get Eric Redbeard, perhaps in Impact as well, if we were eventually to get Bray Wyatt, because I do feel if that trio was in there, I can imagine we could get perhaps a reunion of some sorts. And I mean, chaos would ensue with an Impact. I think it would get people talking. If Impact could pull that off, that would probably be the biggest thing Impact has done for years, and I mean literally years. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Do you think anyone will debut? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know your opinion. I'm going to have a quick drink break just before we go to our next question. It's always the good thing of having other people, because you can do it when they're talking, then you haven't got to have a gap. So I'm sorry about that, everybody. But C Nation Dog says Sammy Guevara should have a long reign as TNT champion. I personally agree. I think that it's really going to freshen up the mid card area. I know it's not really meant to be seen as a mid card, but at the same time, that's how I treat it. It will be those type of superstars. I'm interested to see what matches we could have there. But it definitely would be fun to see. And let's just say here, revenge for Miro. Why should that feud end just yet? So it could be interesting. Maybe Miro tries but doesn't succeed. Guevara wins, or maybe it's an attack after the match. Certainly, I'm down for both suggestions, guys. So yeah, let's see what goes down. But I do have Sammy to retain this evening. C Nation does go on to say as well that he thinks that Roman Reigns will retain the Universal Championship, but this is Brock Lesnar's first match back. But I'm still thinking Roman Reigns, and I agree with you. I think that you definitely have a great shout there. It's interesting, isn't it? Because Roman at Crown Jewel, I can't see anyone beating Reigns for the longest time. And we look now on SmackDown. Brock Lesnar is a great competitor. Roman Reigns beats him. I think the match with Drew McIntyre inevitably will happen. I want it saved for SummerSlam. It's rumored to be in the UK next year. If that happens, you've got to do that match there. But I have a feeling they'll do it before, and then we'll see what we're going to lead it back at SummerSlam maybe. But Goldberg is probably going to happen as well. And if you get the people like Nakamura, Sheamus, we can have as well in there, Jeff Hardy as well. There are people that can face Roman Reigns on the next sort of pattern going forward. So Reigns has got a long reign to come still, in my opinion. So I agree with you. He does retain you against Brock Lesnar. They may even do a rematch with that some point down the line as well. Who says that has to be a one and done? As well here, we've got, I think Braun Strowman will instead have Josh Alexander if he wins the Impact World Championship. Now, that would be money, wouldn't it? Braun actually debuting. Josh Alexander, poor guy, finally brings the Impact Championship back to Impact, and then he's got to stare down a 7-foot monster. But I think Josh Alexander should be the face of Impact, so I definitely agree with you on that. We'll have to wait and see as it happens. But Braun Strowman as well against W. Morrissey. Tell me that would not be a fun feud. That's another one. Take my money. I would be down for seeing that. Derek K says, Fish and Cole, better have a face-off. Fish join the Elite will be interesting, though I don't want the Elite to be like the NWO, but Fish in the Elite will be dope. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't see it happening, but yeah, I mean, they should acknowledge Fish, shouldn't they? Or just something. That they need to have something this evening. That would be quite cool to see. We'll have to see if Bobby Fish is signed. Maybe they will do it, but like you say, it may become like you've got the B squad of the Elite, so you don't want that too much. We've already got that with Nakazawa, and was it Brandon Saxton? I think his name is. I almost said Byron Saxton. This is, I said I was a little bit tired today, so forgive me on that one. But no, literally though, just Byron Saxton in the Elite. No, let's not think about it. But Bobby Fish and Adam Cole, yeah, having a face-off would be interesting if it was to go down. Certainly would be. And I think it'd be a fun moment for people to see it. And it's that feeling once again as well that these guys are no longer with NXT. Yes, one of them left, but AEW is just picking up these big names. I mean, those two were headlining takeovers and stuff like that. And now they're in All Elite Wrestling. It's just fun to see. Wrestling's a cool place. We've got Penta and Ray for Bound for Glory. Ain't that door open for Bound for Glory? Interesting. I would love to see them come back to Impact Bound for Glory. That would be awesome. Of course, AEW, AAA are going to be involved on the show, and these guys appear on both. So why can't it happen? I would love to see that. Maybe we can have them try and go for the Impact Tag Team Championships, although I do know that it's meant to be like Finn Juice or the Bullet Club going for it, if I'm not mistaken, at this point. They've got a number one contenders match, so let's see what goes down. I would love that to happen, though. The Lucha Bros back in Impact. Just what I'm saying, take my money. I haven't got money to give anymore, guys. Stop giving me great suggestions. But no, yeah, seriously, I want to see it. Make it happen, please. If anyone's watching it that can make that happen, make it happen. I reckon the Wyatt family reunion could bring Impact back to the days when Broken Matt Hardy was about. And do you think Bo Dallas could potentially debut with them as well? Awesome suggestion. Yes, you do it. Got to do it. I mean, Bo Dallas, for the longest time, why Bo was not added as part of the Wyatt family when that was a thing, I will never know. I think that was so awesome of a suggestion. And the thing is, in Impact, they could really make it work so well because they wouldn't be sort of chained to this idea that Bo has to be the complete jobber of the gang. This could be, I mean, Violent by Design would have their money run for them very quickly, wouldn't they? And maybe that could be why they're starting to lose some members, why Rhino's not with them anymore. That could be, or we don't quite know yet, do we? But that's my feeling. We're not going to get it anymore. I've not seen Impact spoilers anyway, just in case someone gets alarmed very quickly. But I assume that he's going to rejoin Heath and that they will take on Violent by Design at Bound for Glory. That's just my feeling on it. But definitely a Wyatt family reunion. Please make it happen. Bo in it as well. That would be awesome. I do agree with you. It would probably be the biggest since Broken Matt Hardy was there because it would definitely bring eyes to the prize. Joe Dawn, how's everything going? But yeah, it's good. Thank you. Thank you for watching the stream. Really appreciate you tuning in with your questions as well. Do you think Lance Archer can win the ladder match? And would you be mad? Heel versus heel. But if it's Mox winning again, I'm breaking my chair. Mox wants his title back like Ciampa. Well, I mean, to be fair, I haven't predicted either of these guys to. But I mean, I probably should pick someone that's currently listed in the match as well, shouldn't I? I'm just going Hangman Adam Page. What if he doesn't come through the curtain? Lance Archer would be interesting because, yeah, I mean, it's heel versus heel. But the problem I've got with Archer, I'm going to take your comment away just so everyone can see me chin, if you don't mind. But just literally, I feel that with it, he's had opportunities and they just always seem to knock him off his pedestal at the last wrong moment. I think that's the problem with Lance Archer, but I would love to see him get a push. I'd like to see him as a true main eventer, so I wouldn't be against it. I think if he won it, I wouldn't believe he would win the championship. And probably the same with Mox at this stage as well. I kind of feel that Mox has been there and done it. I want to see something different for John Moxley. So, I mean, there's rumors of these trios championships for the longest time. Can't we get Kingston Homicide? I mean, that's a badass trio there, isn't it? So, maybe just something a bit different for Moxley going forward. But maybe Moxley could go for the TNT Championship. That would be, for me, be something interesting. Versus Sammy Guevara could be a fun little match to watch. Or perhaps even just have Moxley versus Miro, two beefy, you know, I mean, John Moxley's not quite as beefy as Miro, but definitely in that category. And I think these two could definitely, you know, they could slug it out, couldn't they? Definitely would be fun to watch. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see if that be the case. But if I had to pick someone of the people in the match, I'll go with Pac, but I believe he was actually in a freeway as well recently. So it's hard to really pick anyone outside. I really think it's going to be the Joker, and I'm sticking with Hangman Adam Page. C Nation Dog, Bron Breakker will win the NXT Championship at NXT Halloween Havoc. Tommaso Champion is champion just to put him over, sadly. I mean, we'll see. Sadly, the thing is for me, I wish we had a story where we could elevate Ciampa to getting Goldie back, where it was. I know we had a long wait to get there, but we didn't really have a long story to culminate that. I know that wasn't really in WWE's control at this point. But like you say, they want to put these guys that are going to be the future of tomorrow. Bron Breakker, I'm going to go on record now and say this: Bron Breakker, this time next year, is going to be drafted to Raw or SmackDown. He is not in NXT for the long term. This guy, for me, has got everything in the locker. I think Bron Breakker can be he can be a WrestleMania main event at some point. If him and Gabriel Stevenson at some point get it together and they can shoot it to the moon, it could be like Angle and Brock from WrestleMania 19. Honestly, I believe that. So yeah, I agree with you. I think Breakker, it could be winning that championship at Halloween Havoc. Is it too soon? I'm not sure. Would he lose the first time and come back and win it second time? That's certainly an option as well. Could perhaps do it if they're going to do the takeover at War Games. I prefer a championship winner at a takeover, but let's see. Maybe Joe Gacy gets involved and becomes a freeway. We'll have to wait and see. That's certainly a potential we'd have to look into next week. But I kind of agree with you. I think if it's not Halloween Havoc, it's happening. Bron Breakker will be NXT champion or NXT 2.0 champion. I do see it happening. We've seen as well, Joe Doyle saying Goldie. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Goldie is back in the conversation, but for how long for? As C Nation Dog said there, we'll have to wait and see how long it will be. I think Moose and W. Morrissey are the next Impact Tag Team Champions. That's from C Nation Dog there. So that could be an interesting. I mean, that partnership does work pretty well. I must admit, I enjoyed the match there with Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards. I think it was a Victory Road, if I'm not mistaken. It's a shame as well with Sami Callihan that he's out for the foreseeable future at the moment. But yeah, maybe at that point they can revisit that with the tag titles. That would be fun to see. Do you think she'll get a 50th win tonight? Yes. I think just simply yes. I think it's going to be a good match with her and Serena Deeb. As I said in the video, I'd like a bit more story to it. I'd like a bit of fallout from it as well, but I think she gets it. And I think Sheeta deserves it. Most of her wins at least have been coming on pay-per-views and on Dynamites and stuff like that. So it's good to see that she gets this on a Dynamite and it's not just a throwaway on a Dark Elevation or a Dark where politely not so much of the AEW fan base is going to watch it, because I mean I will not miss Dynamite, I will not miss Rampage, I definitely ain't missing the pay-per-view, but I don't go for Dark and Dark Elevation. I just think it's too many jobber matches for me. So yeah, she will pick up the win and I'm pleased to see it's happening on Dynamite. We've got Wrestling Bubble, which do you think the Friends Andrade was talking about to face the Lucha Bros could be Rouge and La Bestia from Ring of Honor, his former Los Ingobernables? Can't say that properly, can I? His stablemates there. Yeah, I mean, I would be quite down for that personally. I mean, of course, Ring of Honor hasn't really been involved in the Forbidden Door yet, has it? And of course, that I did see him put a tweet out a while ago now. Don't know how long ago, but it was a while ago, saying well, should they do Forbidden Door stuff like that. So, I mean, if there's an opportunity that presented itself, they should definitely do it. I believe Rouge's contract, though, is up in January. Excuse me, if I'm not mistaken, with Ring of Honor. And I have read on the dirt sheets, So it's not always somewhere you should always get your news from, but that he could be open to offers. So let's see. Maybe him and Lebestia could come to AEW. That'd be quite fun to see. But yeah, it's something I definitely wouldn't rule out. That's for sure. So it's a good suggestion. Definitely would be okay with seeing it. And Jonesy is in the house as well. So see you. I'm good, thank you. Thank you for checking out the stream. Hope you're keeping well as well. And his question, we've said here about the idea of Braun and Bray going to Impact. He says, who comes back to WWE first? Will it be Braun or will it be Bray? Honestly, now here's something I again don't read all the dirt sheets. It doesn't really help on the long run because they're not always right. But I read this week that apparently if WWE were interested in Braun, he'd already be back. That's to the level of Braun Strowman of where it's at. But Bray Wyatt, I mean, he's been let go for the time being. I wouldn't be surprised if one or both are back one day. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go Braun. But the reason for that, I would say, is that if WWE were to come for both of them again, I think Braun would say yes. I wonder if Bray would say no. And I think that's if he gets his creative freedom to do what he wants elsewhere and that he enjoys it. And if he enjoys that creative freedom he has in other companies to do what he wants, then I don't think Bray is coming back. So that's going to be my opinion. I will say Braun of those two. But that was a tough one. That was a really tough question. Thanks for that. I've got to ask this, man. If you can think of them for Bobby Fish, in your opinion, what song do you want Bobby to come out to? I hope Bob to come out to John the Fisherman by Primus. To be honest, I'm trying to think of these off the top of my head. You've definitely caught me off here. Anyone got any good fish-related pun songs that Bobby Fish could come out to this evening, or even something in the sea? Beyond the Sea is the first one that comes to my head, which I don't think he's a Rat Pack guy. Personally, I think we need a bit of rock going in there for Bobby Fish coming. So I'll try and have a think about it. If something comes to mind, I'll definitely come to. But I know I've got some very creative people in the comments here who definitely come up with a good suggestion or two. Wrestling Wild Woodridge, if the AEW Trios titles are introduced soon, who would you have as inaugural champions? I would have to go with the Gun Club. I liked their recent promo. Yeah, do you know what? The Gun Club have not been losing matches. It's a shame it's on Dark and Elevation, but at least they turned heel on Dynamite, so I could at least see that. And I can at least appreciate that. So that's not a bad suggestion at all. You've got the experience of Billy Gunn. Of course, you've got the young'uns that definitely could do with an opportunity like this. They're not going to be people that could perhaps go for the tag team titles anytime soon. My personal one, I'm going to go with the Super Click just because I want to be one of the cool kids. Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. It would keep the Young Bucks away from the tag team titles is my first feeling. And I just feel as well that that's, it's a top trio that has that. And I think then the team that beats them really gets over. And then for me, something like a Gun Club would then benefit from the victory there. But I mean, a first ever Trios champions, you always remember the first ever as well, don't you? So that would be fun to see as well. But yeah, as I say, I'm selling out here, if I'm honest. I'm going with the Super Quick. Lots of great questions still coming in. Thank you everyone that's been getting involved, and feel free to throw more questions in. I'm looking to go for around about another 20 to 30 minutes this evening. So if you want, get the questions in. We've got a bit of time, and we'll go with the next one from Joe Dawn. It says, I like the man, but not right now. No comparison, lol. Two different men, but Gable Stevenson versus Braun Breaker. Angle versus Brock. Very good one. Never thought of that. Thank you for liking the suggestion. It's one of those we'll have to wait and see if in 5 years' time that comes to fruition, but we'll have to wait and see. It's something I want to happen. Let's see if WWE will give us that. But he goes to say, I hope they pair Gable Stevenson with the Alpha Academy. I'm going to applaud this because I love this idea already. That would be good to get Gable on his feet, and Chad is so underrated in the ring. And all we can have Chad versus Gable. But that's the beauty. I love all of this. This is amazing, Joe. Yeah, literally. Put him with the Alpha Academy because, I mean, Chad can sort of lead him along. Chad almost feels the character. You start off with the heel thing as well, so he's turned his back on the fans like Kurt Angle did because, you know, no one wants to see the Olympic baby face at the beginning. No, we had that with Mark Henry and it didn't get over. It went so sour. Now, I know Mark Henry was kind of green at the time. Gable's just coming in. He's going to see how quick he picks this up. But at the same time, if he picks up like a Kurt Angle and his team with the Alpha Academy, he can get some heel heat. When he's ready to branch out on his own, he breaks off from there. Chad Gable versus Gable. I mean, let's hope it's not, big, we had Shorty Chad or Shorty Gable and Big Gable. So WWE don't do that. But at the same time, that's a great first off match. And then think who's been booked so well as well in the Alpha Academy? Otis. that's a great match as well. So yeah, that's a perfect way to book the first 6 months to 12 months with Gable Stevenson in WWE, in my opinion. That's how I'd like to see it. So Joe, thoroughly love your suggestion. Hope everyone else agrees in the comments. Josie says, were you shocked they didn't get Carl and Pete didn't call up? Where's Ridge? Austin did. Let me read this one again, Josie. Apologies about that. But he was shocked that Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne didn't get called up in the draft, whereas Ridge Holland and Austin did. It seems a bit backwards. Yeah, do you know what? I was surprised in it. But what I would say is, in my personal opinion, I feel Kyle O'Reilly's not ready. And that's weird to say because in ring, the guy is phenomenal. There's no arguments about that. But Cool Carl hasn't connected for me. I haven't really had the same connection with Kyle O'Reilly since he left the Undisputed Era. And I think even when he was a single star in the UE, I had more of a connection with what's going on. So something needs to tweak in that character for me for Kyle O'Reilly to get to the next level. I think Kyle O'Reilly, I wouldn't even have him as NXT champion at this point, but you could say to me, but would you have Ridge Holland and Austin Theory? I definitely would put them in and around the conversation. So I think that's where I feel not so surprised with Kyle O'Reilly. Pete Dunne, on the other hand, Pete Dunne for me is roster ready, and I would have put him with Ridge Holland. If you're going to call one, you call Pete with him. I understand you've probably got enough of these single star bodyguard duos already, and perhaps that's one tag team too many in the SmackDown tag team division, but I just feel that could have been good. But as was suggested earlier in the comments, earlier in this video, maybe Ridge Holland pairs up with Sheamus. Maybe that's an idea that we could see. And as for Austin Theory, as I said earlier in the video as well, I really enjoyed the start he had on Raw this week. The cocky heel, making the legend feel like he wants to have a selfie. It's like, really? No, I'm going to actually, the selfie I want is you knocked out on your back and me grinning like a cocky prick. And he did that to perfection. And I feel his time in the way has really pushed him well. If they've got a plan like it feels like they do for Austin Theory, I think this guy has the sky the limit. But Austin Theory for me represented what NXT 2.0 was all about. So for me, he could have been a top guy there. But when you've got the likes of Bron Breakker, that's probably going to take that role very, very quickly. I guess it's not going to be such a shock for people that that we see already these guys have been called up to main roster already. Jonesy goes on to say as well, Bobby Fish new stable, it's called the Fisherman Friend. There we go. I like that already. Let's get some more fisherman stuff going in the comments there for Bobby Fish tonight. As well as that, C-Nation Dog, it doesn't like Gable Stevenson because he skipped NXT 2.0 and might steal the spotlight from other talent. Well, I guess winning the Olympics just gets you that role. I mean, Kurt Angle back in the day didn't really have, I mean, he did some dark matches and stuff like that before Raw and Heat back in the days, but didn't really get that sort of opportunity like a platform. I don't think so much. So maybe he did do OVW. I don't know. Jonesy will know that pretty well in the comments. But yeah, I mean, Gable, they obviously see a name value there. As long as they don't do to him what they did to Parker Bordeaux and just give him Harlan, Gable Stevenson, I'm personally going to be okay with it. Start slow and steady. But I understand the fears and that. But I mean, without other stars skip NXT 2.0 or NXT previously as well, like an AJ Styles, for example. And for me, I was very pleased how that turned out. So I'm okay with it at the moment. But hey, I do understand where you're coming from because there's a lot of talent in WWE. And hey, people deserve their time to shine. And they've put in that time, they've put in that effort to get where they've got. Chris Foley is in the house with us now. He says, is it just me or is WWE was watching you? Xylee to SmackDown, Ricochet to SmackDown, make Damien seem like a babyface, let Drew go to SmackDown, and can Shayna or Xia be the one for backup for Sonya Deville on Naomi? Let's get the last bit in there for you. I hope they're watching my videos. They're probably not, if I'm honest with you, Chris, but I definitely appreciate the praise there on that. But yeah, they've made some moves that I said that they should do, which is means obviously I agree with those moves that they've made. And yeah, let's see how it's going to play out now on SmackDown. And now, of course, it's all good, well and good putting those superstars on those shows, but they then have to book them well when they get there. I've got high hopes for a few of them. Xia Li, I think that now she's away from Tian Sharp, I'm interested to see what they're going to bring to the table with her. Ricochet, like I said, I think he can stand out more on SmackDown. Damian Priest as well has been going from strength to strength. And like you say, Drew McIntyre going to SmackDown, it's a breath of fresh air. But definitely to go on the idea of Shayna or Xia Li as backup for Sonya Deville while she's training to get back in ring ready to eventually have that match with Naomi, I would be kind of cool with that, especially if we had a Queen Shayna who was doing the backup dirty work there. It would be a good storyline to have in the background till someone is ready for a championship match. So yeah, I really like that idea, Paul Chris. Cool one. I like that. Wrestling by Woodridge has come in again. It says, you never know, Nation. Gable could be the second coming of Kurt Angle if he has the charisma. And I think that's the key, is it the charisma? And maybe that could be the idea why I feel with the Alpha Academy could be a good start to go with. Because, I mean, if they did that, then, you know, we can pick those bits up. He's great in ring as well. Like you say, we could have a megastar on our hands. And yeah, before we go to our next question, I'm going to let you read it while I'm going to have a quick drink. Oh, there we go. Supersonic X. Which undrafted superstar do fans miss the most? Obviously, some fans miss Bailey, others miss Oscar. Bailey needs to settle with Bianca, while Oscar needs dream matches, will be in dream matches on the main roster. I think both will be missed in their own right. I mean, of course, I think people understand as well. Both are injured right now. I mean, obviously, other superstars that were not drafted. Not that I think people were necessarily missing them, but Eva Marie was one of them. I'm guessing that's to sell the injury that Shayna's done as well, although Nia Jax was drafted, but needless to say. Lucha House Party were not drafted. Shane Thorne wasn't drafted. And yeah, Elias. That faded away, didn't it? Elias's new gimmick didn't really have to turn into anything. So yeah, I'd say of all those names, the top two you've mentioned there, the ones obviously I think people would miss the most. I think a lot of people were rooting for Oscar to go to SmackDown. So I think a lot of people are probably less aware of how long Oscar will be out for. So I'm going to say Oscar, I think, is probably the most missed by fans in the draft if I had to put my name on one. How do you see Oscar and Bailey come back? I think I just actually answered that question already there. Bailey to Raw for me, I think I think some fresh matches with Becky Lynch. I think would be quite cool to see. I'd have Bailey come back as a face. I'd have it like the Triple H back in 2002, the dastardly heel that left but come back as the baby face. But as said before, there's unfinished business with Bianca Belair, so that could happen as well on Raw. Many fresh matches as well on that Raw roster for Bailey to have. 3 hours. She's not been on Raw as well. I think since 2018, I want to say 19. I mean, whenever she went over, and she's been on SmackDown and done a killer ever since. So yeah, for me, Bailey to Raw, it's time to freshen things up there. And Oscar to SmackDown. Yes, it's on the same as Charlotte Flair, but I think that's missing. You're missing a top babyface on SmackDown. But if Sasha moves over to the babyface side, here's another suggestion. Why not have Oscar go on the heel side, and then we can have a heel Oscar versus a babyface Sasha Banks, and all of a sudden, a match we've seen before comes pretty fresh pretty quickly. So that's what I would do. I would have Sasha turn babyface, Oscar turn heel on SmackDown, and then there you go. And you can even have the best friends if you want, Charlotte and Oscar going after those tag team championships again, if neither of them are the world champion, of course. You can play into that. So yeah, those are some of the things I would do. Chris says, if you want Mark Henry, I hope they call up Odyssey Jones to SmackDown. We need LA Knight to Raw. Come on, WWE, and I'm down with that. LA and The Miz would make me happy. Be happy or turn off the TV because they are annoying heels. They are definitely annoying heels. But you know what? I actually have a bit of a soft spot for annoying heels because they do what I want on TV. I want to get a reaction, and that's what they do. And LA Knight for me would be perfect for that. In fact, I'd actually have him on SmackDown. Actually, I love the idea of him being there with the Miz because maybe they could be a team as well. Maybe they could have that dysfunctionalness of who's got the last word. That could be quite fun to see, something a bit different. But at the same time, I like the idea of as well. Odyssey Jones on SmackDown, I'd be quite different. Odyssey Jones would fit SmackDown really, really well because again, it's that babyface side. He's got the look. I think right now on Raw, he'd get lost. So, yeah, these are some good suggestions you've made there, Chrissy. So, yeah, I'm liking the sound of all of this. Rest of the I think O'Reilly needs to go back to being a heel. It totally suits his moveset. Then he could be called up to the main roster, perhaps liking that. And you know what? I'm not the only one that's not liking it. C-Nation Dog says, true. And I think I'm going to agree. True. He does need something. He needs a bit more edge back. And like you say, it suits the moveset as well. And when you're under analysis with Aaron, you know he's right when he's talking about those movesets. So, yeah, have to agree with that entirely. Jonesy, he says, do you think the draft would have been better with feuding GMs instead of everyone getting on as it seemed very calm and placid? Yes, I would. I would love GMs to be, going backwards and forwards. I will say this outright. I actually think that the draft at this point would be better instead of having podiums actually to go back to the old where we had the sort of manic screen where you kind of had like about 50 superstars in a second and you kind of didn't really know where to look. You might get a headache if it went on for too long, but you got a surprise superstar that came blasting out your screen and John Cena moved 2 shows in one night. That's the sort of thing I think would be more exciting, but definitely GMs, I want to see facial reactions. I noticed Raw addressed that a little bit, But I want to see where they're backstage. Do you remember back? You'll do that. You'll definitely remember this. But 2002, where we had the first original draft. It was Ric Flair and Vince McMahon. Ric Flair was Raw. Vince was SmackDown. Undertaker was guaranteed by Vince. He was going to be the number one draft pick, but Raw got the first pick. So Ric Flair, despite Vince McMahon, picked the Undertaker, and the face. Honestly, if Undertaker's saying how bad it was back in the 90s and noughties with, you know, all these, you need to have your knives and guns, you know, he definitely was, he had the evils going on. It was definitely big evil at that point. Undertaker was not happy about being drafted to it, and that's what I want to see. I want to see people that are unhappy on the show they're on, if they're not being booked well or losing lots of matches, going, yes, I've got a fresh start. I want to see something like that. But we don't really get that. Like you said, it's a bit safe. It's a bit placid. It's a bit, we do what we need to do. But yeah, I do prefer GMs. And yeah, for me personally, I would like to see those screens come back, because then each match means something as well when you get those draft picks. If we have to do a draft night, I mean, I've given my opinion on that previously on the channel as well, that I think we could do WWE where it's more exciting without a draft throughout the whole calendar year. Maybe I can tag that video in the description after I come off this evening. I'm going to do about another 10 to 15 minutes at all, and then I'm going to finish the stream. So I'll go for as many questions as I can, maybe throwing questions for the next couple of minutes just to make sure I get your questions on. What's your memory of Hogwild 1996? I recently watched it. Mine would be with Hollywood Hogan beating the Giant would be the first one that comes to mind. If I'm not mistaken, as well, the Outsiders took on the Steiners on this show, if I'm not mistaken. And as well, for some reason, Mongo McMichael and Jeff Jarrett, that storyline going on at the time, is the things that come to mind. But the main memory would be Hogan winning that championship. But it's a really unique show. And I love retro questions, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there. So I'm really pleased you brought one up. That's a nice, good retro show, especially watching WCW as well. Hogwild, Road Wild, they're very weird shows, being like, what is it, Sturgis they're in as well. It's like, all these motorcycles revving on the sides and that. It's a really unique look of a pay-per-view. It's not your classic in an arena with 5,000-10,000 people. So some of them people probably don't even follow wrestling. It's like that kind of vibe, and people just happy seeing people getting beaten up and revving those bicycles, or those motorcycles, sorry. So, yeah, literally, it's an interesting watch. For me, it's not my favorite pay-per-view of all time by any stretch of the imagination, but if people want to go and watch one, this is one of them I'd recommend to go and watch, because I do think this might be, in my opinion, of the Sturgis ones, of what I've seen so far. I've seen 97, 98 with the Road Wilds, might be the best one that they did. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Medusa was on this show as well. Jonesy, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. When will Omos beat Big E? Hopefully not for a while. Obviously, this is the thing of building new stars, and they can do that on Raw. I just don't think Omos is ready. And I think that's the problem. For me, Omos needs a little while longer, but I kind of want to see him break away from AJ Styles. I'm bored of that. Maybe this is lazy booking from me. Tell me if it's lazy booking. But if we're going to bring back the Hurt Business, why not put Omos in the Hurt Business? Because he would obviously be a lot more creditable than Cedric and Shelton when it comes to doing the dirty work. So you've already got that there. You've got the big backup there. MVP is the mouthpiece. And then he comes in, does the bits and pieces when he needs to. 6-man tags, 8-man tags. Comes in, do single matches, squash matches when he needs to. And then in a year's time or so, when he's ready, you break him away from it. You have him versus Lashley, and then you put him in the championship program. Maybe it's lazy booking. I don't know. But it's something I would personally like to see. And of course, you'd have to squash AJ Styles if Omos was to do that as well. Maybe that could be a transition as well to getting AJ Styles to going back to being a babyface, because I'm not saying I'm bored of AJ Styles as a heel, but I think it's time to get him back to being a babyface, in my opinion. Pete Dunne should have been drafted with Rich Holland. I agree with you. I think you're right with that one. As I said already, I would like to see them as a team or bodyguard or something. I think that would have worked really, really well as well. From Jonesy, do you think Sasha's upcoming babyface turn will work? I prefer as a heel. I prefer as a heel, but Sasha can work both roles pretty well. If you go back to 2016 and look at her feud with Charlotte Flair on Monday Night Raw, she had the crowd eating out of her palm when she did that. And I actually think that when she had a face run at the end of last year, I thought she was really well in that role. And I think they transitioned into a heel too quickly. If I had my way of booking it, I would have liked to have seen the first time Bianca and Sasha faced off at WrestleMania to be face versus face, almost like Austin versus Rock, and the rematch could have been Bianca the babyface and Sasha versus the heel. But if she's going to go back to being babyface, then I'm okay with it because I do think she does a great job as it. But I have a sneaky suspicion. I'm going to throw this last little suggestion out there. I've got lots of speculation ideas, but it just feels like the right questions to throw them into. What if Sasha Banks wins at Crown Jewel, becomes a SmackDown Women's Champion, and what if somehow between now and when we actually get the rosters in the full way, Bianca Belair actually wins the Raw Women's Championship, and we finish that program off at Survivor Series? Just an idea. C Nation Dog, Drew McIntyre will beat Roman Reigns to win the Universal Championship at the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. Is that a backlash? WrestleMania backlash? It could be. That'd be interesting if that was to go down that way. For me personally, as I said, I hope it's SummerSlam if it's going to be in the UK, but let's wait and see if that does happen. But yeah, I think Drew will be the guy. It's just when the time will be. We'll have to wait and see when that will be. But pay-per-view after WrestleMania, I'll take that prediction now. How many glasses of water does SCW go through an episode of SCW Live? It's the same one. I've just gone through half of it so far. But is it really water? It's not vodka. I promise it's not vodka. It is water. If it was vodka, you'd know about it. I'd be slurring all over the place. Josie says, I fear for some of the names on the undrafted list. I expect vignettes for Dakota Kai to air soon. Well, let's hope they do that because that would be quite cool to see. That's the thing as well, the NXT call-ups. Now we've got them being called up, particularly Hit Row, for example. They should really plug some video packages for the next few weeks on SmackDown. Let us know they're coming. And then after those people come up, people like Dakota Kai, then throw it out. That would be quite cool. I really like that idea, James. So they should definitely do that because you need to introduce these people to your audience. And I think, I know I've kind of gone off a little bit on Hit Row here, but it's because I think Hit Row have that potential to be mainstream. I think that gimmick that they've got really, really works. It's how WWE books it. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see as that will go down. But I've just got to quickly go through. Yes, it was Sturgis. Is what he said there. Mongo and Jeff has not happened yet, mate. I'm sorry, Jonesy, if I've ruined your fun, but that was in 1997. So, but that doesn't. I'm not going to tell you if they're opponents or tag team partners. There we go. They're just in around each other at that point. We're going to go on to other ones here. We've got Max Turner who says here, what I will do is if she could return and she's cleared, Paige versus a returning Oscar will be good, and they have history since they have the stable. Kyrie's saying, yes, they do. Do you know what? I really like that. That's a really cool suggestion. Yeah. The thing is, Paige just said something about January, hasn't she? She said openly, like, right, okay, yeah, January, is it going to be the Royal Rumble? Is it a contract? What is the situation? She wants to get back in the ring, and I think she'll probably get a weight eventually, wherever it will be. And this match would make a lot of sense. So, yeah, I'd be down for this. This really works for me. If Sasha Banks is a babyface now, then she's the big show of the women's division. Liking that, yeah. And like Kevin Owens is the big show of the draft that goes to each show every year as well. So yeah, but no, liking that. Yeah, Sasha Banks is kind of getting those vibes recently as well. What would you make of the name change of B, Fab, and Tegan gone back to Tegan Knox? WWE cannot make their mind up. It looks really amateur. Yeah, it does look really amateur. I would agree with that. But B, Fab, I'm fine with. I'm cool with that name. That seems to work for her, and I think it will work for Hit Row perfectly. And I'm pleased that Tegan's got her name back. But Shotzi hasn't. And I would have liked seeing Shotzi get her name back. But yeah, it does look a bit amateurish. I would agree that WWE is changing far too often of late. As well, Conor Raleigh is the 1-2-3 kid of 2021. Hard facts. Yeah, I'm liking that as well there. That's a fun little suggestion as well. And as well, we've got him coming now. Seth Rollins should have stayed on SmackDown. He needed a feud with Roman Reigns. Yeah, what was the deal with that? There was stuff going on with Roman Reigns. I know it happened a little while ago, but never really got the answer to that. And the one title he has won was the SmackDown Tag Team longer, sadly, because now in being back on Raw, and of course, he has won them before. As well, we've got Wrestling by Waldridge. Awesome stream as always, buddy. Thank you very much for that. Do you think AEW could eventually benefit from a brand split itself? I hope not. I mean, arguably you could say they could, but I mean, arguably some of the talents you could argue already have it because they have Dark and Dark Elevation, where most of them spend most of their time and get odd appearances on when it comes to AEW's Dynamite and Rampage. But at the same time, I like AEW as it is. I think they represent almost, I don't want to give them WCW comparisons all the time, so I don't think it's fair. But I do feel that they should stick as what they are. That's what AEW is. That's what they know. By doing a brand split, they're almost copying WWE and will probably be heavily called out on it, if not by YouTubers, definitely by Twitter. So I hope they do what they do just continue and do it as they do, because I think right now they're doing a really, really good job. I would say if they want to get people more TV time, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually Rampage goes to 2 hours if it was to go on a different time slot on a different night. But I like it being 1 hour. I think Rampage is awesome. It's such a quick watch. You watch 3 matches, couple of promos, and boom, you're off. And it's like, it reminds me of watching Nitro back in 95, early 96. And yeah, it's just so fast paced. You almost can't keep up with it. I love those sort of shows. It's like Hulk versus Giant and Hill Nick Patrick helps the Outsiders against, yeah, those are the matches. Yeah, I do remember those. And yes, Medusa is on that show. So I do remember a bit of Hogwild 96, which is good. Of course, Bull Nakano, yeah. Oh, she was awesome back in the day. And I do remember as well being at Survivor Series 93, of course, Nakano. I remember as a child watching Bull Nakano and thinking that she stood out from the pack. I was surprised we didn't see more of her in WWE back in the early to mid 90s. But yeah, as I say for people, they should go and check out Hogwild 96 if they haven't. It's not the greatest pay-per-view of all time, but definitely it's something different. And I think that sometimes means it's worth your time. It's almost like watching Bash of the Beach 95 actually takes place on an actual beach. Really cool. It's fun. It's different. I like it. As well, we've got C Nation Dog says almost WWE and Raw Tag Team Champion AJ Styles, US and Raw Tag Team Champion would give them two dudes of attitude vibes. Oh, we're really going back to the 90s and the retro stuff now. C Nation, I love what you're doing there. Yeah, I mean, goodness. Well, if almost draws like Diesel did back in the mid-90s, Styles definitely has the HBK vibes. I will agree with that, but certainly a fun comment nonetheless there. Jones says, what will be bigger next year? Kevin Owens going to AEW or WWE bringing back Legends to pop ratings? Well, it depends which ratings it pops, really, if we're going with that. Yeah, I mean, for me, Kevin Owens to AEW is going to be a big deal because I think him let off the leash is going to be another game changer. But at the same time, it depends what Legends WWE bring. I mean, if John Cena comes back, everyone loved that John Cena was back this time, and I think that it would again, and WWE would benefit from that, from live shows, from when it comes to commercial stuff. So stuff like that can't be ignored, and it would be bigger in terms with WWE. But of course, if you're on about bridging the gap step by step, of course, Kevin Owens going over to there would be a big deal nonetheless. But yeah, we'll go to our next question, which is going to come from Jonathan Bergill. Hope I've said that correctly, Jonathan. I just realized something about Lashley told Berg in Saudi in the promo, and he's going to take you down for this. You won't be over this, and this will be what I will do to make a new star. Strong have Gable Stevenson to destroy Goldberg and join the Hurt Business. Now, I mentioned they've almost joining the Hurt Business. Gable Stevenson joining the Hurt Business. That would be a talking point, wouldn't it? I mean, of course, that Olympian, and you would turn around and say now, when I say about Alpha Academy early in the video, it's fun because the Olympic connection. But if you're talking about going to a major stable and making a difference, that would make a difference very quickly. He would have a prominent role very early in his WWE career. So if that was to go down, that'd be a big talking point. That would be a big moment. And that's a very interesting prediction, Jonathan. And it's one I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for, because I like the idea of shock factor. You've probably guessed that by now. So yeah, if there's a bit of shock factor and you can make some logical sense of it, yeah, why not? I'm cool with this. Drew McIntyre should have become a Grand Slam champion. He will do one day. I'm sure he will do one day. His time for the moment, I think, is in the main event, but I think eventually he will get the opportunity to become a Grand Slam champion. But I think right now, while the momentum is there with Drew to get into that main event, we need to build those new stars. He can come back to that mid-card title at some point in the future. But also, the Universal Championship as well is one that's escaped him at this moment as well. Perhaps he will get the opportunity if he eventually maybe defeats Roman Reigns, if that does go down. But it says, facts, Kevin Owens is the big show of the draft. He always switches shows, which he does, yes. What will you do with the Viking Raiders on SmackDown? They are not interesting, which is sad. But do you think a heel turn or a character change, in your opinion? Very good question, this one. Heel turn always is a quick fix to it, especially with the Vikings. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they've just not been booked well. This is a great tag team. And if you've watched them in Ring of Honor and other places, New Japan, you would turn around and say, this is an awesome tag team. War Machine was, it ruled. But I can understand why in WWE, you're not feeling the vibe there with them, because they've been booked a bit like a joke. I hope on SmackDown now, they're under different writers. For the first time, they will be on SmackDown. And SmackDown has treated more love to their tag team division, in my opinion, than Raw does. You're getting these make together tag teams, winning the tag team championships instead of your tag teams. Viking Raiders were always on the side to AJ and Omos and RK Bro. Viking Raiders on SmackDown could be good here. And I think a nice feud with the Usos would be a fun watch. So that definitely be something I'd look to try and make happen early doors. And I'd try and get away from the jokey side, more serious side of the Viking Raiders, because their gimmick can be perhaps seen as a bit off for people anyway. So you need to give them as much credibility as possible. So yeah, for me, a more serious side for them would have to go down. And a few with the Usos, I think, can't hurt either. Elijah, thank you for checking out the stream. It says for SmackDown, they'll repackage Mace. It seems interesting, but for this, what I would do is Crown Jewel, and it makes no sense, but have Mace cost Brock the match for Revenge, aka Dear Madam. Well, do you know what? You're going with some long-term storytelling, so that's definitely fun in itself. But like you say, I don't think it will happen, sadly. But definitely would give a purpose for Mace now that he's on his own. Because earlier on this stream, like I said, I'm worried about the guy. I don't see where they can fit him in. He's got great characteristics, but he does seem a bit green still. I don't know if they'd give him this position so soon, but perhaps a repackage definitely something that they need to look for. Do you think brings his clock to Dynamite tonight? If he does, we're all in trouble. This is definitely Undertaker territory once again, isn't it? We're going back to the 80s and the 90s here. But yeah, did anyone see as well? I haven't said no. It was on Instagram. I don't know who posted it for the life of me, but it was like everyone's wearing their face masks for like the COVID stuff, and he's doing the examination on Cody. They gave me a little bit of a chuckle. But yeah, if Arn does, I'm taking cover behind the sofa. Put it that way. The Saudi show looks solid. WrestleMania card level there. I have to agree. I think it's a very solid show, and we still don't know all the matches yet, and we don't even know who's going to be in King of the Ring and Queen's Crown finals. So it's going to be interesting to see who they put in that position. But yeah, a lot of big names are already in big marquee matches. So this feels like it could be building new stars up for those tournaments as well. Who do you see stopping Aleister Black in AEW, and what's your WrestleMania card? I'd be here for a while with the WrestleMania card, but what I will say is I'll try and think of a couple of top matches for you, and maybe if I can come with an entire card, because if it's like 14, 15 matches, I'll do a video, and I'll give you a shout out as well when I do it. Aleister Black stopping him in AEW, it's a very good question. Oh, who would stop Aleister Black? I don't think anyone should for a long, long time, but I want to see rivalries with the likes of CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and that sort of stuff. So I think that'd be the sort of level right now where I'd have him lose, because I wouldn't have him at the top just yet. I'd want to see Aleister Black, or if you want Malachi Black, to be the TNT champion before going towards the top. I think that definitely would help him in the long run. So maybe Malachi Black should be the person that defeats Sammy Guevara for that championship further down the line. But yeah, I would say CM Punk or Bryan Danielson should be the one stopping him. Perhaps even Hangman Adam Page if we do skip the TNT level, if he was to get to the championship match, because that would be an awesome match in itself. But for WrestleMania card, then we have the match that I really wanted this week on Raw with Bianca Belair versus Charlotte. But so I guess that probably won't go down, but that's definitely one I'd like to see. I mean, if it's a match I want to see or what I think will happen, that's probably a different story. But let's say what I want to happen. I want Damian Priest against Roman Reigns. Damian Priest to win the Rumble, and then he goes on to challenge Roman Reigns for the championship at WrestleMania. Probably wouldn't win the championship, but you get Bad Bunny back as well to be by his side, make him feel that creditable main eventer, raise that level up just a little bit. So that's definitely one main event I would like to see. As for the Raw side, this is quite difficult here. If Big E remains as champion, because you kind of want to have almost a changing of the guard, using a legend to get him over. So how about Big E versus John Cena? Could be a match that we could see, and Big E getting over further there. That could be kind of a fun little match that we could get as well. I think we'll definitely get Riddle and Randy Orton. That's one I would say. I've predicted one's women's championship match, so let's predict another one, shall we? Let's go on the Raw side, because if we do Bianca winning the Rumble, for example, to go against Charlotte, so on Raw, let's go with Rhea Ripley against Becky Lynch. There's a lot of work to do to build these stars up, WWE, if you're going to take any of my suggestions, but hey, I'm trying to build new stars here. So that's it for what I want. What I think would happen, probably Goldberg versus Reigns. We'll probably get something like that. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, what do you want to see, Jonesy? Let me know in the comments. Cody got buried last week by fans on his own reality show. That's pretty much what went down. Cody needs that heel turn. He needs it very, very soon. That's what I would say. Needs to happen very quickly. So, yeah, how is that going to happen? I don't know. Maybe well, the Nightmare family sort of turned it back on him, haven't they? They've kind of put that notion in place. And if Cody can't beat Malachi Black, maybe he turns on his own family. Maybe that could be a way they could do it. So it'd be interesting. I like that. Food for thought. I'm going to take the last couple of questions now. So don't give me more questions, anybody. And also, yeah, we'll literally. I'll take about 3 or 4 more questions is what I'm going to take now. But I would let Gable Stevenson join Alpha Academy, and since Edge is on Raw and is interesting, races RK Bro. Liking that RKO Bro, that would be fun to see, and that'd be interesting to face Stable, and Edge could trust Riddle. Yeah, that would be. I mean, it would be fun. I'd like to see both of those. I talked about Stevenson already with Alpha Academy earlier in the video, but the rated RK Bro, that's certainly a lot of fun, and I think Riddle would get a lot out of it. So yeah, cool with that. Cody needs to go heel. He's so double as baby. He's gone past his point now as babyface. He needs to go back to Ring of Honor Cody that we saw, where he was flipping off everybody left, right, and center, and just being an absolute douche every time. Cody is so much fun as a heel with, you know, not WWE telling him what to do and going off and doing what he does. So that's what they need to do in AEW. I agree. The heel turn is on. Madcap Moss is 2021's answer to the Goon in those type gimmicks. I have to agree. What we have next with a talking animal? I'm still waiting for Karrion Kross to bring in the Warlord and become the Powers of Pain 2021. Yeah, let's hope. Let's not give WWE ideas, but yeah, Madcap Moss. I mean, still, it's not Madcap, by the way. But yeah, I'm personally not a major fan of it, if I'm going to be brutally honest. I was all right with Happy Corbin, and then they started doing that, and yeah, I don't know. Last couple of weeks, it's really fell flat for me. I'm going to be honest. I would not let Drew go over Roman yet. This is what I would do. Have the Usos look strong until a new tag team, Sheamus and Drew, destroy the Usos. It could be the new tag champions for a storyline. I mean, it's something different, isn't it? If you bring they were good friends, then they've had a big rivalry, and they come back together again, and they're both on SmackDown, so it definitely could work down well. And then Roman could probably face both of them. So it's a fun, unique suggestion, Elijah. I like it. I do like it a lot. But I mean, I do stick with my prediction though. I'm going to keep with Drew to win that championship eventually. WWE may not come on with good names anymore. Do drop Madcap Moss and Slapjack. You're telling me, yeah, you're bang on the money right with that. I can't argue with that at all. I can't even add much more to it. He's just right. And going back to that other one that we had there, or we could have the bar back with Cesaro and Sheamus. Now, that is something I'd be quite keen on, actually. And for Ricochet, he is awesome. But I'd bring a manager for Ricochet SmackDown. Did Cruz turn Ricochet heel and let them be a high-flying, cocky boy? And that would be interesting because that was kind of how he was in New Japan, was like high-flying, cocky boy. So that would be quite a fun twist for Ricochet. We talked about Ricochet quite a lot in this video. It's good to see Ricochet getting some questions in today. But as for the bar, yeah, I'm down for that. If you're not going to push Cesaro, that definitely would give him some way back into the championship picture. So yeah, I would be quite okay with that. And Ricochet and Eva Marie as a group, Eva is go away heat. That definitely would be interesting. And do you know what, Elijah? You've been called for some long-term storytelling, and I like that. It's good when we see some long-term storytelling. I'm down for that. But yeah, we'll go down to these last couple of bits. Jones has said thank you as well. Thank you, Joseph, for checking out. Really appreciate having you here. And as well, we've just got a question from SC Williams as well while I'm here, because SC's not been on for a little while. What would you do for tonight? Have Sammy beat Bobby Fish and then someone new come out? Sammy be the new Moxley. I will like it, though, in my opinion. Yeah, Sammy could almost be doing the open challenges again. It feels that Sammy's gone full-on squeaky clean baby face. Someone would come, but I mean, we do get a lot of new faces all the time, so I'm kind of okay with not having new people all the time. There's a great roster for him to work with as well, so even a match against Moxley would be good. I mentioned Malachi Black a couple of seconds ago, so there's definitely a lot of suggestions of what we could see him do, but I definitely think Sammy is definitely winning tonight. That's definitely one thing for sure. We're going to come here as well for Elijah. We're on our last couple of comments now, everybody. I just realized which is interesting. What if Black is AEW? Bray, he can change people to join the House of Black with Art Hanson and Lee Johnson and maybe Matthews. That's fun. That's fun. Can someone get Elijah on a booking team somewhere? I don't want it to say AEW, or even I think WWE probably needs you more at this point at the moment, but definitely I'm down for all of this. And one last one. They said about I thought that Shayna versus Charlotte long term and Becky versus Rhea would be for Raw would be good. The Nikki Ashton heel on Rhea Liv and Alexa would be interesting too. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, as I said a minute ago, I'd love Becky versus Rhea. I think Shayna versus Charlotte could be interesting if one was a babyface, although I don't want Shayna babyface anytime soon, if I'm honest here. I think that Sasha Banks should be the babyface here. So, yeah, I'll have to wait and see. But I definitely think that's a match that needs to take place on SmackDown over the next 12 months, Shayna versus Charlotte. And Liv and Alexa, that could be fun if there's a little program there. I'm interested to see what Alexa does when she does come back, because obviously we we don't know what Alexa we're going to get back at this point, so I have to wait and see. Sinister Doug says, I like babyface Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes, he will never turn heel in AEW. Would be a shame for me. I enjoyed his Ring of Honor run so much just because of him as a heel. I think he just did some really unique things. But if he stays babyface, it's fine, but I think he could get the Roman Reigns treatment back from a few years ago. But hey, that's at his own risk, I guess. Elijah says, Nia and Tamina for Women's Tag Team Champions. Good for it. We need to build the tag team division somewhere. So that's a good suggestion. There have been a team before as well. And I would like Tegan Nox versus Becky in a pay-per-view. Tegan reminds me of NXT's Becky. I don't know why, though. I'm not sure why either, but I tell you what, it would be a good match. And Tegan, now she's gone solo, they need to give her a push in some format. So, yeah, I'm fine with that idea as well. I think that would be really, really cool. So, yeah, let's see if it happens. Yes, Danny, you've got time for one last one to get one in there, so definitely do that. SC Williams, I said SCW there, says thank you, SCW. So yeah, Danny, throw in one last question while I do it. I would tell people, please like the video, share the video, subscribe as well. After this video goes off, please drop a comment in as well, because it really helps with the algorithms, helps me a hell of a lot to help build this channel, because that's what I want to do. Basically, I want to make this channel as big and as good as it can be. And the bigger the channel gets, I promise the content will get better along with it. So that's kind of why I would like, if people can like it, if you can share it, just let someone else know. It really just, it helps. It really does. Word of mouth really helps channels grow a long, long way. C Nation Doc has said here there are no tag teams in the women's division besides the champions. It's so true, and that's what really, really sucks at the moment, is that we don't have any other tag teams. But that definitely would be one that would be interesting if we could get Nia and Tamina together. That would really work. And yeah, I mean, I'm struggling to think what other tag teams we would put together right now, unless they were thrown. So it would be interesting what WWE is going to do to counter that. We'll have that one last question from Danny Barron. This will be the last one we'll take on the stream. What if Alexa is the one who cost Finn Balor the match against Roman? Alexa got powers. Alexa and Finn is both on Raw. She did it because she's a psychopath mode. And thank you, guys. That would be a good story. Would be an interesting story. WWE sort of just dropped it, didn't they, afterwards? And kind of something like, they must put it in the hands of God if you want. But we've seen the cameraman's done it on camera footage. But definitely the Alexa thing could work. That would definitely work as a storyline without question. We don't know what Alexa we're going to be getting back. She's just off for the time being. So yeah, I'm interested in what will happen. But maybe there could be a reason they would revisit it. But as C Nation Dog has said here, perhaps you should go back as the goddess. Maybe we might get a transition of the two characters. Maybe we get an edgier goddess version of this current Alexa Bliss character. Maybe we get a combination, because having the same thing we've had before could just be nostalgia and throwback, and fans maybe could get bored quickly, even though I, like you, was a big fan of the goddess. So we'll have to wait and see how it will go down. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be interesting to see how she'll be brought back, and they need to address it when Finn Balor comes back as well. Does Finn just forget everything? That seems a bit weird as well, doesn't it? So yeah, no, it's a good point you bring up there. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you for watching as always. You've been watching SCW Live Q&A. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. Everyone's been getting involved today. It's been awesome to have you all here. Honestly, without everyone here that does these and puts in the questions, you're probably aware this shows nothing. I probably go off air or it's silent for a long time. So I appreciate everyone that gets involved in the chat, that likes and always supports SCW. I really, really do appreciate it, and want to say thank you once again. But that's all for me anyway. Please leave a comment in the comment section. I look forward to interacting with you on any of the topics being talked about today. And particularly, if you haven't discussed it on this chat, do it in the comments. Who do you want to see as King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown winner? I will look forward to seeing who will be the winners in your opinions. I'd like to see it. But that's all for me. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day, and check out other videos on SCW that are waiting for you right now. All the best. I'll see you next time.